up? Bienvenidos, it's Kadija, aka the musingknomad, and I'm back again. Girl. So today's episode, I pushed it back because this was normally supposed to be posted at the end of last week, and I pushed it back because I was waiting for the presidential election. But it kept taking days and days and days. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wait. And until it's been announced, then I'll do this video. And girl, MAGA, you mad? Transporters, you mad? Be mad. Stay mad. I'm not going to lie. I did not have any faith and hope in the U.S. because if it happened last time, it could very well have reproduced again. The only thing that I will say is that I have to side-eye is just the fact that, again, compared to last year, 55% of white women decided to vote for Trump, and 18%, which went up this year, of black men decided to vote for Trump. Okay. But one of the things that I was disappointed in the fact is that this wasn't a landslide win for Biden-Harris, and it should have been. But we also have to recognize that white supremacy is a powerful force. And regardless if white people are voting for Trump, even though it's against their well-being, their finances, etc., it is by any means necessary. We want to maintain white supremacy to make sure we have power. And that is a sad reason why so many people still voted for him when he doesn't benefit you, right? Trump, for the most part, is going to benefit rich people. That's his politics. It benefits rich people, right? So it's funny that so many people would vote for him anyway, even though it goes against their well-being. But I'm not surprised because we have to realize white supremacy, if it feels threatened in any way, shape, or form, it's going to come full force and say, I'm not going anywhere by any means necessary. We're going to maintain our power. We're going to maintain our hold within this hegemonic structure, and we're not going to let anyone come in and dismantle it, right? But, besides all of that, I'm happy. I'm relieved that Biden-Harris won. I'm happy to see the first Black and Indian American woman, first ever vice president, first ever woman really in the presidency in the U.S. And I'm happy. I'm sorry. Girl power. Girl power. Yes, I know that Biden and Harris have, some things in the past that are a bit questionable. I understand that, and I know why some people feel a certain way. But you think I'm about to vote for Trump compared to them? You got another motherfucking thing coming. Police. Okay? So really, really happy to hear about them winning. And like my cousin, this girl, she lives in the UK, right? But this is how you understand, this is how you know that US politics affects the rest of the world, right? This girl kept staying up every day literally staying up till 5, 6 in the morning waiting to find out the results over several days, because obviously the first day we didn't find out who won. And Mr. Agent Orange here is basically, filing lawsuits here, there, and there. And he's already, put his puppet people in the Supreme Court, right? The Amy ain't qualified, whatever her last name is, and then the Brett, the rapist one, he's already put his puppets in there, right? So when he wants to go and contest this, he has those people in his pockets that will benefit him, right? And I'm speaking on Amy, right? This is how, and also, Brett as well, but especially with Amy, it's like an unqualified white woman, because she appeases to white supremacy, and also she falls in line of like the conservative thought frame. An unqualified white woman is now seating in the Supreme Court. Okay. Like, it could, and I'm just gonna leave that at that, because I'm just like, it's irritating to me, but it is what it is. Something else we also need to talk about, right? Why do we still have the Electoral College? Why? Honestly, this system needs to be dismantled, because if you want to say that we have true democracy in the US, why does this exist? You get what I'm trying to say? It makes absolutely no sense, because if we look back, right, the popular vote is what should count, right? If it was the popular vote, we would never have had Trump, right? We would never have Bush. We've never had, what's the other one prior to that? Can't think of it right now. But if it wasn't for the popular vote, so many of these Republican people that are running for office would not be in their position. You get what I'm trying to say? And honestly, this electoral college needs to be dismantled. I think we needed to do like the Chileans, who just recently fought to have their constitution revamped completely. We need to do that. The U.S. Constitution was created for and by white men. Okay? And this needs to be revamped in its totality. This is a piece of paper. And I guess I kind of have to relate it to like the Bible, right? So with regards to the Bible, this was a document that was written thousands and thousands of years ago that people, live by. But then you also have to think that, like, okay, this was written in a specific time frame where, some people's lives weren't worthy of this. Some people could be slaves, some people, whatever. There's so many, negative aspects of it, right? But people kind of just disregard those things, but, take on the positive aspects of it, right? And now let's look at the Declaration of Independence. No. And now let's look at the Constitution. The Constitution, like I said, was written for and by white men, right? In a period where black people were not even considered human. We were considered chattel. So if we are still going to talk about, oh my God, the Constitution is like, this was a document that was written within a specific time period benefiting specific people. And this is something that needs to be completely dismantled and revamped. And if we are going to continue to have like the Senate, I think that also needs to be revamped in a sense of like, it isn't fair that a very small state, let's say New Hampshire, for example, they have the same amount of representatives compared to a state like California, when the population of California is much larger. That isn't fair. If we want to be equitable about that, those things need to change. You get what I'm trying to say? It isn't fair that we're trying to make this system of the 50 states and give equal number of senators to a specific state when they don't have a representative amount of constituents. You get what I'm trying to say? So I feel like that also needs to be revamped, because if you're really going to call ourselves a true democracy, I mean, let's act like we're a true democracy, because the U.S. imperialist system wants to push forth this idea that we are the ideal image of what democracy is. It isn't. It isn't. Look at the people that are in office that have gotten into power. All they did was cheat and lie and say, we won this vote here because this state, they didn't count this or whatever. All the little cheating antics that the Republican Party loves to do. Okay? Maybe we need to really abolish the U.S. in itself and make it... let's make it a disunited states. I mean, because, if y'all want to like really be about it and say, this is America, whatever. No, how about this? Each state be its own governing sovereignty, right? Let's do that. And then let's see, especially the states where they're making money versus the states, and usually the poorer states or the red states. So let's separate, right? And let's see how y'all will survive. Because if we were to take out the blue states or the more richer states, excluding maybe like Texas, for example, right? Let's separate them by states and let's see how we govern ourselves. And when we realize where the money is coming from and how the money from certain states is benefiting all you other states, let's see how y'all would survive. Because in some aspects, I remember there's a study done. If we were to separate the U.S. into different states, each state was its own country, many of the states in the U.S. would be considered third world countries in the sense of their GDP, because they're not making it like that, okay? So you're benefiting from the bigger states, who generally tend to be blue, democratic, and you're benefiting from us. I mean, really. So how about this? You want to maintain your power, you want to be, about it? Cool. Let's have a disunited states. You do you, we'll do us, and then let's see how you survive. And we know y'all ain't gonna do that because you're like, oh, ooh. Because when we start talking about that money, then we realize what's real. But anyways, I just wanted to touch on that. And speaking of someone that I spoke about previously, John Mattingly, aka one of Breonna Taylor's murderers. This motherfucker had the nerve to countersuit Breonna Taylor's boyfriend because he endangered your life. You see the gall in this. You participated in killing someone, and now you have the gall to sue them. I'll just leave that at that. I just want to let y'all know what happened with regards to that, because I was just like, wow. Something else that I want to touch on. So Keke Palmer, there was a video she posted, or a video that came out, of her kissing up on her boo thing. Okay, and the vitriol that she received, the backlash that she received, especially from black men, but also black women, I was disgusted, absolutely disgusted by it. So I remember a particular tweet from a black woman to her saying like, oh, because Keke made a post about like how, you have to side-eye people because, what they're portraying online versus how they're voting, it's two different things, right? And this girl's like, oh yeah, well, I'm side-eyeing you because you're basically with a colonizer. And I was just like, girl, for real? For real? So basically, as a black woman, specifically as a black woman, if you date outside your race, you're dating the colonizer. If you date outside your race and you talk about black issues and issues that are affecting the community, you're not a valid representative because you're dating the colonizer. I'm like, really? I mean, really? That sounds so stupid to me. And for me, I'm like, okay, she's getting loved on by somebody that loves and appreciates her. Girl, be happy, do you. I love me some Keke Palmer, do you. What does it matter who the fuck she's fucking? How does that affect what she's been about? You get what I'm trying to say? Because let's use an example of, let's say, Tamara and her man Adam. Adam was posting basically on Twitter, basically saying, yeah, voter suppression, this, and this, and he's a Trump supporter. We know this. And Tamara's, from what we've seen on the Grrl, seems to be quite conservative. So if she aligns with him and, she agrees with his viewpoints about that, it is what it is. Okay, they're a united front with regards to that, right? But if, for example, she was to come out and say Black Lives, this, and I think the only reason she ever spoke about Black Lives Matter, if, correct me if I'm wrong, was when like someone in her family, a cousin of hers, was killed, right? But let's say prior to that, when we were talking about like race issues, she kind of was just like, not really touching that, right? But let's say it was somebody like Keke who was with a white man. Just because she's with her white man doesn't mean she's about to just take up any motherfucking white man. Like, I'm sure whoever she's dating with aligns with her, whether that is intellectually, whether that is philosophically, whether that is her political views, etc. I'm sure she's not about to just pick any Dick, Tom, and Harry, okay? So for me, I'm just like, y'all shut the fuck up. Leave this girl alone. She ain't doing nothing to nobody. And this is the thing that's really funny to me, right? So when she came out to say Trey Songz, she felt threatened by him. She had to hide in the bathroom because he was like being aggressive towards her. Y'all wanted to shut her down, especially black men, right? Y'all wanted to shut her down, be like, da, 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 da. Oh, because it's always the agenda of the propaganda of like protect the black man by any means necessary, right? So when she said something, y'all came for her throat. So now all she did was post a video about her kissing her man, and y'all got something to say. And again, this is something similar with regards to Serena Williams. When a woman dates outside of her race, it's like, oh, at first y'all ain't really checking for her, right? And then she does that, it's like, oh, you're trying to bring down the black community or whatever, right? And the reason this happens, and this is something I wanted to touch on, right? The reason this happens is something I wanted to touch on. When we look at nationalism and the nation, nationalism it thrives off of women as being the carriers of tradition and culture, right? Whereas men, within nationalism, not the nation, within nationalism, are the protectors and the ones that are going to be trying to colonize and push forth whatever imperialistic ideologies that they have, right? So that's why oftentimes when you see with any community, when a woman dates outside of her race, marries outside of her race, her whatever, not even just her race, and when I say that I mean like her nationality, her ethnic background, whatever, right? When a woman does that, it's a bigger deal because she is breaking tradition and she's breaking down the culture of the nation, right? Whereas if a man does it, it's a bit easier. It's a bit easier. If, let's say, a North African man wanted to be with a non-North African woman, he's going to have an easier time doing that rather than a North African woman wanting to be with someone that's not North African. It's going to be difficult for her because people are going to be like, nah, girl, you know what I'm trying to say? So that's how within nationalism, the nation, and patriarchy, that's how like women in many ways are kind of controlled and have to conform to certain things, because people are going to be like, no, you're breaking tradition if you don't follow these rules, right? To make this concept like more clear, when we talk about land, for example, right? We talk about motherland. The land is feminine, right? The idea of the land. And because the land produces things, whether that's food, whether that's because the land is fertile. You get what I'm trying to say? These link to something that's more feminine based. But when it comes to guardianship, protection of the land, we link that towards motherhood. Does that make sense? This concept, it's gendered in many ways. For example, when we think of war, right? By all means necessary, you must protect the quote-unquote motherland from being invaded and violated by masculine threats. National identities oftentimes are linked to women because of the idea that we have that women are reproducing the nation. They're bringing birth to the nation, right? Whereas nationalism is more masculine identified because you are protecting the nation. We see that in governance. We see that in who has power. We see that in how it flows within like our cultures and our societies, right? And speaking of this, I wanted to address like my Black Men Are Trash video. I know a lot of y'all are triggered AF. And one of the people that commented in that video, we were going like back and forth, and every time basically just kept saying the blame and the onus is on Black mothers for why Black men are how they are. And I think that's really interesting. It's like, and this is my thing, and I'm going to continue saying this, at the end of the day, as a grown-ass adult, okay, the onus is on you. If you cannot do the work to deconstruct certain things, certain bad behaviors, and help produce a more well-rounded individual, if you can't do that work, that is not blaming. We're not going to put that on your parents. You know what I'm trying to say? So if you were to go rape someone, is that your mom's fault because she didn't teach you not to rape somebody? If you're a colorist, that's your mom's fault because she didn't teach you this? Da, 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 da. Like, you get what I'm trying to say? The onus is not on the parents. Your parents can tell you right from wrong. They can do all they can do to make you be a good human being, right? But if, as an adult, you decide to do certain things, like, how are we going to continue blaming the parents? No. And one of the things I think people fail to realize when it comes to growing up, right? Your parents teach you things, yes, in the home, right? But the world also teaches you things, okay? You're not just nurtured by your parents. You're also nurtured through your socialization, right? Through the outside world and through the interactions that you have with other people outside of your family, okay? One of the examples that some of you were saying was basically, well, you know, your parents teach you this and this and this. I'm like, okay, cool. But the onus is on both parents, right? So if both of your parents aren't doing the work to help build you as a human being, I mean, we're not going to just say that they failed you, because if y'all want to use examples of like, well, you know, look at the likes of T.I. and Lil Wayne, 50 Cent. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's use them as examples, right? All of them are fathers. Are they in their kids' lives on a daily basis? And for those that are in their kids' lives on a daily basis, they're still perpetuating toxic masculinity. They're still perpetuating certain ideas of what they think it should be, the way you treat your child. And that was the reason I gave the example of why T.I. was talking about taking his daughter to go make sure she's getting checked to make sure she's still a virgin, right? But then I gave the example of LeBron, not in the video, but through the comments, I gave the example of LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, because y'all want to say it's because of their mothers, that's why the way they are. Okay, LeBron is dope. Dwayne Wade is dope. What's your excuse here? For me, at the end of the day, stop making excuses. Take accountability for your actions as a grown-ass adult, okay? And do better. If y'all are triggered by that video, stay triggered. Stay mad. I'm not going to coddle you, okay? And I've already said that. And something that I'm going to be doing, if y'all did not watch this interview, there's an interview that Mike Tyson did with Little Boosie, or Boosie, whatever his name is, and I was not gonna watch it because I'm like, I wasn't gonna watch it because Mike Tyson would have triggered me, because I was just like, But I was listening to The Read, my favorite podcast, and Crystal was like, y'all go watch this. It's actually really good. Took her advice. I watched it. It was actually really good. And I'm going to be doing a video where I'm going to be breaking down some stuff. And one of the things that I think is really interesting, and this is unfortunately how men kind of are, a man, generally speaking, and when I say men, I'm usually talking about cisgendered heterosexual men, right? Generally speaking, a man it's going to be easier for them to digest something another man says rather than when a woman says it, right? Mike Tyson was putting Boosie to task. He wasn't taking a shit. He's like, nah, listen, right? He's like, and then Boosie was like, so, and he was like, why don't you shut the fuck up? He's like, I need to. I'm like, I mean, that was actually a good interview, and I will say I had a bias because I was triggered because Mike Tyson is a convicted rapist, abuser, etc., right? And in the interview, he said something like, this is not a word I even used, right? He said, nigga, I'm not somebody to be proud of, right? And I love the growth that I see in him. And this is why in my Black Men Are Trash video, I said I had to reconcile with the likes of Malcolm X, because Malcolm X is about his community and all that stuff, right? But we also have to realize motherfucker was a pimp, right? And that's just what he touched on in his book. He didn't even go into detail, because I'm sure there could be even worse things of rape or whatever, right? So it's like you have to reconcile with these people. But anyways, that was actually a really good interview, and I would recommend for y'all to watch it. And last but not least, what I wanted to touch on was the Birkin bag debate. I'm like, are y'all dumb? Like, what the hell are y'all tripping about? A bag? Like, if y'all don't get you a bag, find somebody else. First of all, the people, I think it was saweetie, however you say her name, and Cardi talking about this. Like, okay, the men that you're speaking about, that you're dating, obviously have the means to get you that, which means that's nothing for them. But you can't be telling some other person, and generally speaking, your audience or younger women, you can't be telling your audience that, like, if he can't get you this, like, he ain't whatever. I'm like, first, like, that bag is ridiculously expensive. And for me, like, why, like, a gift like that shit is meaningless. For somebody like, let's say Cardi and Sweetie, when you got money, that's a cool gift. Okay, cool. But like, for me, if some dude was gonna give me a gift, like, which that would only happen if, you a man, because I have, issues with, like, dude just giving me stuff because it's just weird. But like, if you're gonna give me a gift, I don't want no damn thing. Buy me stocks. Buy me property. If you want to you want to give me a gift, buy me things that are going to benefit me, right? I don't need some stupid bag. That does nothing for me. Like, just to be like, oh yeah, I got a bag. Just like, if this was a Rolex, like, oh yeah, I got a Rolex. What the fuck does that mean? It's a watch. It's a watch. It is what it is. You know what I'm trying to say? So I thought the debate was just really dumb. Like, for me, I'm like, get your own, do you, make your money, and if somebody wants to come and add to your life, let them add in a beneficial and smart way, not in a way of like some stupid material thing. Like, give me something that's going to benefit me and my future. Also, I would assume most of y'all know this, so I live in France, and we are now on lockdown again, and like, for me, like, I'm not even complaining about that, like, because for me, during this year, basically, I've just been chilling at home, because I'm like, I'm not trying to get nothing, like, I'm chilling by myself, like, if I want to hang out with people, I'll hang out with you, but I'm chilling for the most part, right? And honestly, I know a lot of French people are like annoyed with us going back on lockdown again, which I get, but I'm just like, I understand why they're doing it, and I'd rather be living here with them handling this well versus in the US. You get what I'm trying to say? And that is just such a shame. It's so sad to have to think in this way, but it is what it is. And personally, I'd rather be in a country where, like, they're putting their people's lives first. We can argue some things that they're doing which are kind of like suspect, but for the most part, compared to the US, they're actually putting their people's lives first. For example, this is the third time I've received a pack of masks, reusable masks, and this is a pack of 6, right? And free. The country is sending this out to people for free. So for me, like, I'd rather be here where they care about you, and if you do get it, you can get some help and benefits. You get what I'm trying to say? But anyways, I hope y'all are doing well. I know the cases are going up again. I hope y'all are staying safe. Please stay safe, because times are nuts. And luckily, we're going to have some new leadership in office with regards to the US. So hopefully things are going to change with regards to that. But all I know is Agent Orange, peace the fuck out. Okay? I hope they lock your ass up for all of the crimes that you've done. Okay? And it is what it is. But anyways, thank y'all so much for watching. Like I said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Your girl will be back soon for a new video. Make sure to check out my other videos. And I'll see y'all soon. Peace out. Bisous. And hugs.